Now, we are again in Chapter 6. This is Part B. We're going to be using the color picker. And this is another way for creating color. And the color picker lets you select a color in a colored field and in a spectrum by either defining the colors numerically or clicking on a swatch. And it's found in other Adobe applications like in Photoshop or in InDesign. So what we're going to do next is create a color using the color picker, and we're going to save that as a swatch in the swatches panel. Now, click the bottom white bar in the sign. Again, there it goes. And now we're going to double click the fill box at the top of the swatches panel to open the color picker. Okay? Now, you can move that over to the side so you can actually see what's happening on with the colors that you're going to be working with. Now, the color picker, you can click and drag in the color spectrum bar. That's this one here. And that's going to change the color range. So if you have the triangles in somewhere in like an orangey brown area, something like this, that's fine. And then you can click and drag around in the color field. So you have the color field and you have the color spectrum bar. As you drag right and left, this is changing your saturation from being fully saturated in the color or being not so saturated in the color. And up and down is going to adjust the brightness. So you've got this whole range here that you can work with. The color you create when you click OK, which we aren't doing yet, was going to appear in the new color rectangle, and it's going to, which is this one up here. So anything as you're changing, see how this changes? This is your old color, which is white. This is the new color. So we're going to go again, and here we can change just like we did with the sliders. You want about a mid-tone cyan, a little bit higher magenta. I'm using the ones that were in the book. You do not have to use the colors that were in the book. And in fact, I'm going to change mine just a little bit. I'm going to make mine a little bit lighter. So instead of 30, I'm going to use a, let's see, how about 25 in black, which is going to be a little bit different. And I'm going to make some changes to mine because you can make changes to yours. There is nothing that says that these are cut in stone. I want to be able to know that you understand being able to control your colors. Okay, so there's the color that I've selected, which is a slightly different color than what they gave in the book. Now, once I have the color that I want, I'm going to say OK. That is going to add that color to the piece that we have selected, but it has not created a new color swatch. So we need to still go and create a new color swatch and give it a name and say OK, but we make sure before you do, make sure you make it a global color so that if you want to change it later, you can. Save where you are before you lose anything. Now, there are swatch libraries that are standards for preset colors. There are things called Pantone, which is very heavily used here in the U.S. Toyo, which is also used. These are there are thematic libraries like Earth Tone or Ice Cream, and there are default swatch libraries that appear as separate panels when you open them, and these can't be edited. But when you apply a color from a library, that color that's in that library automatically becomes a swatch that's saved in that document, and it will appear in the swatches panel for your document. So libraries are a really good way to pick up new colors and add spot colors, including what we're going to do next. So this is going to be a spot color. It's defined in Illustrator whenever a color is defined in Illustrator and later printed, the appearance of the color could vary. So a lot of times, most of the time, printers and designers are going to use a color matching system like the Pantone system that helps maintain color consistency, and it also can give a wider range of colors. Sometimes it's practical to use the CMYK along with a spot color. You might have something that it needs to be a specific exact color, and you will use a spot color for that. What that requires, though, for those of you who are in graphic design or thinking of going into graphic design, is that spot color necessitates that the item that you're printing is going to go through the press an additional time. So it's going to go through a press, and first you're going to get the yellow, then you're going to get, or I'm sorry, it's going to be first the cyan, then the magenta, then the yellow, then the black, and then you're going to get a spot color run. So you have to be aware that if you are a designer adding a spot color, you are going to have additional cost, because not only does the printing company need to invest in that particular spot color that you're using, because it is a specific pre-mixed ink. It is not a combination of cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. It is a specific pre-mixed ink, and the only way they're going to get is by ordering that ink from a color mixing facility, which creates those Pantone colors or those Toyo colors or whatever specific spot color you're using, and it will give great consistency for that color, but it will not be exactly cheap. Okay, it's just something you need to know about. So you would have 4 color plus 1 spot color that you're using, and that's a 5 color process. In this section, we're going to load a color library. And we're going to use, for this purpose, the Pantone color system, and we're going to add a Pantone matching system, which is a PMS color, to the swatches panel. So right now in the swatches panel, there is, in the drop down, we're going to select to open a swatch library. And what we're going to do is oh, that's right, they've moved it. It's no longer in here. We're going to go here. Oops, didn't mean to do that. We are going to select, that's okay, I selected off. Here it is, swatch library menu. There it is. Now, we have colors, art history, celebration, color books. That's the one we want right now. We want Pantone plus solid color. Or solid coated rather, sorry, solid coated. That means it would be applied, this color is going to, oops, let me undo that. That means this color is really specifically meant for being used on coated paper to give the best color that it can. So we are going to look at this and look at the variety of colors, the multitude of colors that you can select from. So we are going to look for color number 755, which narrows us down and to this grouping of colors. If you add another 5, notice they're all kind of golden browns. It is this specific color. And when we click on that color, it's going to add that, oh, I didn't mean to have anything selected. So let me undo, which, and I will click off to the side so I have nothing selected. Notice that when I did a Control Z, I also eliminated this from the swatch panel. Let me click on that now to add that, and I can then close my library. And it's added in the order. Notice that this one, yes, global color, but guess what? It's also a spot color. When I open this, it says it's a book color. Global is already there, but I'm going to say, okay, notice that there is a little black dot that appears in that white triangle. which indicates that that is a spot color. It is not a CMYK color. Okay, so now we're going to go to the number 2 artboard. So let's use the navigator down here because I don't want to close my swatches palette. Artboard number 2. And the first tree is going to be filled with Pantone 7555 rather, C. And we are going to change our stroke weight to eliminate it, not with the drop down, but by clicking down or changing to 0, and save. Next, when we're moving on to page 188, we're going to create and save a tint of a color. Now, a tint is a mixture of color with white to make the color lighter. We can create a tint from a global process color like CMYK or from that spot color. So we are going to create a tint of that Pantone color that we just did. Click the white tree shape that's right next to the one that we just filled. And in your swatches panel, you're going to apply that swatch. Now, click the color panel up on top, and you have this slider that comes up. We're going to drag the slider to the left to approximately 70%. Doesn't have to be exact. And that is going to be the, let's see, that's going to be our percentage value. Now when we click on the swatches panel, click on the new swatch, and you will see that comes up, and it's going to, the name of it is the color plus, I did a 77% rather than 70%. My color is therefore 77%. And again, I am going to change my stroke weight to 0 to eliminate that. So in the 3 remaining trees, we're going to apply the Pantone, the regular Pantone swatch, and then the other swatch. So we're going to alternate that, change the stroke weight on each of these to 0, make your, or if you would like to experiment a little bit more with this, make another tint swatch for yourself. So if I fill this and I go back up to my color slider, I can make, maybe I'd like to make a, oh, that's too light. Let me do a 69, okay, I'm going to do a little bit lighter swatch, or maybe I'll do something a little bit darker. I'll make mine 85%. Go to my swatches panel and make another swatch. See, this one is going to be that I click on here. So I have now my original. I have an, come on, give me the name. I have my 77 and my 85. Now my 85 pushed in between my original and my 77 because I built it off of my original. But this is now my 77, and I'm going to again get rid of the stroke on it. Okay, deselect, click off, and go ahead and save what you're working on. When you're working with colors, Adobe offers an Edit Colors menu option that allows you to convert colors between color modes. You can blend colors, you can invert colors, you can do a whole lot more. We're going to change the tree logo from being Pantone color to being CMYK. So if we are still on this artboard, we're going to go to select all on active artboard and go to edit colors, and we are going to convert these colors to CMYK. Now the colors are now in the shapes are now converted to the CMYK color. We don't have swatches for them now. We just have the colors. So our swatches are still here. We haven't eliminated them. We've just converted this. And if I open up my color, you can see it's been converted.